Thank you for staying with us. According to a not so up-to-date statistics on the internet, Nigeria has both the largest Muslim and Christian population in the whole of Africa. Nigeria is, however, divided into three adherent religions: Islam, Christianity, and traditional. What role does religion play in our country's leadership, our behavior as a people, and what are the possibilities of harnessing the undeniable influence religion has on us? Please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Tweet at us at WishShowAfrica1 with the hashtag WishShow, or SMS and WhatsApp as well to 081-803-84663. Our guest today is the CEO of Graeme Blaque Advisory, a financial advisory firm which focuses on risk management using derivatives. He's also a philanthropist under the Angel Project, whereby he secretly pays the hospital bill of patients who are not able to settle their bill. He's a man who isn't about thinking outside or inside the box. He says, what if the box doesn't exist? His name is Zeal Akaraiwe. Hello.
Hello. Hi. You're not supposed to read all that, but okay.
Really? I knew you would say that. So let's talk religion. But before I come to you, let me hear what she has to say first.
Religion. Religion is a tough one in Nigeria and in the world, actually. And like the saying goes, religion is the opium of the masses. We find where the people are more tuned, like I said earlier, are more tuned into believing in a higher power, in whatever capacity, whether it is Muslim, Christian, or paganism, in whatever context we want to. But I think to a large extent, we have been played by some religious leaders in the world today, because to a large extent, they have used us to enrich themselves.
So why did we allow ourselves to be played?
Because we have been programmed to an extent to be gullible, to listen to them and accept some of the norms. That's why you see when a woman and a man, they're having problems in their relationship, they go to the pastor. Pastor, my husband is a wicked man. He did this to me, he did that to me. Meanwhile, pastor cannot even talk to his wife at home. So who are we fooling?
Okay. So, Zero, my question to you.
She's harsh.
How would you rate the influence of religion on the average Nigerian when it comes to decision making?
Quite high. Very, very, very high.
Okay.
It's largely subliminal, but it's very, very high. And one of the reasons is, again, I promise I have to pick my words. But one of the reasons is religion has a lot of power. And religion draws and maintains its power from one source and one source alone. I know that, not God. Control. Religion's power, the sustenance of religion's power comes from control. Its ability to control not just what you do, but what you think. And whatever a human being thinks, he becomes. Exactly. So if religion can control what you think, then religion can control not just what you do, but what you become. And how does religion control what you think? By controlling what you believe. Because religion is 100% about believing what you call faith. Now here's the problem. If religion were asking me to believe what it has shown me, we won't have a problem. But religion is built on your believing what it cannot show you. What you call a blind faith. Which is different. Science is about believing. But science believing is about evidence. They run experiments, they do tests. They will show you, and based on what they show you, you believe it. For instance, I get into an aeroplane because I believe science.
Absolutely.
Okay, now if you put a paper plane and there are no engines or anything that says you'll enter, I'm not going to enter. But you see, no religion will tell me, believe. Just believe. It doesn't have to make sense. And that's where the control of religion becomes dangerous, where it tells you it doesn't have to make sense. So once you start believing what even to your own prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain that is rational, the part of the brain that religion associates with is the limbic system.
Okay.
And that bypasses your prefrontal cortex that analyzes stuff. But you see, religion doesn't allow you to analyze, so it has to bypass it. That's where the power of religion sits, making you believe what you have no right or ability to question. That's a very dangerous power.
So you said making us believe what we have no right to question, or we have a right to question, but we do not question it.
They make you believe you should not question it.
Question it,
Yes.
good.
You
So
should question it.
we should question
The
it.
religions ask you to question it.
Yes.
But the custodians of various religious
Says, "Don't
institutions,
question."
because they can't give you an answer, and they are scared of losing the control religion gives them if you start to question them, they then coin it in such a way that you feel silly questioning it.
Wow. So based on this pretext now, or context, where do we draw the line between fanaticism and religion?
There's no line. Religion is fanaticism. The question is, what part of the line do you sit? That's not what. It depends on your personal character. Religion is very open to fanaticism, because what you find is that the very religious people are the ones that become the religious extremists. Don't forget,
yes.
I mean, not so many 100 years ago, religion was spread with swords and bloodshed.
Yes.
That's how Christianity was spread. Not very, very different
From the Muslim.
from what Boko Haram is claiming to do in the name of their religion. I don't believe they are doing it as per the religion. The same way, I will not agree that the people who carried swords in the 10th and 11th century, cutting off people's heads and burning them at the stake, were doing it in the name of the religion, but that's not what the religion teaches. So once you understand the power religion has, then you need to ask yourself, who are the people holding the keys to this power? Because I assure you, it's not you.
Okay, so if we agree that religion has this amazing power that you have described, like it is big
Superpower.
and Nigerians are very religious, very religious. How do we begin to maybe tilt the power or harness this power to help us be better people? Because as religious as we say we are, if we are that religious, I don't think we're supposed to be
In the
where we
position
are right
we
now.
are in right now.
Yeah.
Okay, you're tempting me. Else is tempting me.
Please be tempted.
No, I will not be tempted. But yes, you raise a very good point. I am personally, I don't want to say pro or anti-religion,
Okay.
but from what I observe religion do to people, that's not the intention. It's been abused. That's my opinion. Religion has been abused by a few people so that they can have the power religion has over you, which is control. Now, your question, so how do we harness this power for the betterment of society? Which is funny you ask that, because that is the whole essence of religion. How do we make society better for everybody?
Okay.
Right? The way to do that is by questioning those who hold the religious keys. I mean, when I say question, I don't mean being defiant. I don't mean attacking or being aggressive. It's basically the very simple, the Prophet Muhammad did it. Jesus did it. If you read about people like Mahatma Gandhi, Hare Krishna,
Yes.
Buddha, they all did it. What did they do? They sat people down
And taught them.
and taught them and explained to them. And they questioned it. Why is this way? Why does this make any sense? And those people, it was the answers they gave them that made them classified by history as wise men. What makes you wise is not how you look. It's your interaction with the core spirit of society in solving their problems through intellectual discourse. Do we have that today? I don't really see it. I see large congregations of a lot of people being put under subjection by somebody with a microphone. And he's telling you, and you know, one of the first things religion does is it shifts your mind away from the ability to question it. Well, actually, the people in religion that hold the keys. And you know how they do that? I will use Christianity, because I've been to church a few times. And you hear it so often. And every time I hear it, when I started reading psychology, I read a lot of Sigmund Freud and Amos Tversky and Daniel Kahneman. I read quite a lot of psychology. I started realizing, this thing is like
brain.
Yeah, it's manipulation. Somebody comes to the pulpit and tells you, when I slept yesterday, when I woke up this morning, I did not know what to tell God's people. But God said. You know, once you do the God said, you know what happens? You know what He's doing to you? He's shutting down your prefrontal cortex. He's shutting down your ability to reason. Do you want to argue with God?
No.
And so He's opened up your limbic system. It's your limbic system that is not going to question stuff. That's what that statement of God said. Are you going to say, how do you know it was God? Everybody just look at you and be like, Or why did God say, how can you question God? Don't question God. And if you say, I don't understand what God said, they'll say, God's ways are not your ways. You don't have to understand. How can you explain to me and expect me to function in society? And society is about solving societal problems. How do you expect me to solve problems when I can't ask questions? How do you expect me to solve problems when you're telling me that solutions don't have to make sense?
We're talking about asking questions. Sorry.
Yes.
Very few people agree that they have the right to ask their pastor's question, or people you've called the religious key holders, right?
Yes.
So how do we even begin to ask these questions without being crucified?
You're asking me questions? Asking questions is not hard.
Okay.
What many religious...
So like the example you gave.
So let me give...
In
No,
church,
let me
God said, and then I stand up to say, what time did God tell you?
So that's exactly where I was going. The setting of the church, most churches, a lot of churches, I don't know most, a lot of churches, that setting, the setting of the program, the physical arrangement of the church does not allow you to ask questions. So they've removed that ability from you, because you're in a church with 3,000-4,000 people. There's one man on the pulpit far away from you. There's no point you can say, excuse me, sir. There's no point. So the entire setting has made it. So when you walk in there, you already know I can't ask questions. There's this person I follow a lot. In fact, when he was in Lagos, I tried to attend one of his sermons. I couldn't. Mufti Menk. Okay. An Islamic cleric. I love the guy. Because you listen, when he does his stuff, he engages smaller crowds, and they engage. And I have a lot of respect for anybody that engages, because that engagement means you're willing to hear from the people.
Exactly.
What's the difference between sitting in a church auditorium with 20, 30, 40,000 people? You're not talking with them. You're not even talking to them. You're talking at them. What's the difference between that setting where I'm in that setting as a religious person and I'm completely helpless? What's the difference between that and my politician?
Now,
who's addressing me?
Politics.
I cannot question my pastor or my imam. And so there's this psychological phenomenon called transference, where the human mind takes one circumstance and replicates it in something else that looks the same. Our religious helplessness is replicated in politics. And so the way we behave like sheep in religion, religion says you're a sheep, Christianity says you're a sheep, I'm not a sheep, I don't know about you. We transfer that behavior into politics because the setting is the same. There's a man with a microphone who says he has the power over you, who says this position was given to me by God.
I was going to talk about religion and politics. Now, we all know that most of our politicians, before they go into power, they usually go to some sort of religious minister.
They go to all. They have to go to a shrine or a church or what. They go to all.
And to seek or canvass for votes and everything. So what's your take on how politics has been, religion has been politicized in Nigeria, especially? And how did it lead us to where we are today?
if you understand how the mind works, right? So the mind is, I tell people that for those who believe in God and the devil, I tell people that there are 4 forces in the world. There's God, there's the devil, there's nature, and there's the human mind. The human mind, for me, is the most powerful thing in our control. But the human mind is blind. It gets fed. What do you feed it with? So when you feed your mind with a circumstance where, as powerful as you are as a person, as intellectual as you are asked, you're convinced, you're manipulated into shutting down your intellect. And anybody who switches on their intellect, I get asked a lot of times, why are you trying to intellectualize God? And I ask them, have you seen how DNA works? If you believe God created DNA, then you must believe God is highly intellectual. So if you don't want me to intellectualize God, what's the opposite of intellectualize? I don't know, stupidify. So you want me to relate with God as a stupid entity or as an intellectual? So I don't understand when people ask me, but you see, they are doing that. It's almost like shaming you to shut up. You know, as in, how dare you switch on your brain?
In the days of old, they say blasphemy.
Exactly. So you see people working, top corporate citizens, running organizations properly, professionally, profitably. You envy those organizations. Then you pull them out of the organization and you put them into church. And you see the same person behaving in a way you're thinking, dude,
are they the same people?
What's going on? How could you say this? You know, and you see, and so it's very amazing because religion creates an environment that forces that switch from the prefrontal cortex to the limbic system. It forces, so immediately you step into a religious setting, you are a different human being.
Very true.
Relating
Very
differently.
Really?
That's why you wonder why people on Friday or Sunday, they are very either like this or like this. Either way, whichever religion you're praying, you're very, then you drive onto the road 10 minutes later.
Okay.
And they wind down. And you're wondering, but you just, because they're 2 different people. One person is a prefrontal cortex person and the other person is a limbic person.
Wow.
Great.
They don't interact in the same way.
All right, we'll definitely continue this conversation, but let's go on a very quick break and we'll be right back.